we are live.
What a privilege. However many people see it, that's still a privilege. If nobody sees it, it's out there.
Mhm.
And that's what, 12 years ago, would never even considered it. Um, Christina and I have been together for that long, and there was no way we were considering doing live.
Mm-mm. I didn't even know how to order on email.
We learned a lot together. Um, and the neat thing about it is we're friends. She's my girlfriend to this day. Uh, I just really enjoy being around her. There's not a if I have a day where we spend all day together,
That's a cool day.
only thing she has a problem with is I might remodel the house.
Okay, that's if you have more than 2 or 3 days off.
Right. And you know,
There's no mind. If you have a week off, some room, some part of my house is going to be remodeled.
right. Uh and our journeys buying things online have been amusing if we ever stop to look at it. Like this chair that I'm sitting in was a
It made me
beautiful chair to look at. And then when we got it,
It was missing a
is
piece.
missing the main part, the part that holds the legs to the chair. And she gave, they all have a specific time, and she gave them time, and they keep on giving you offers like, "Hey, would you do this? Is it this part?" And so you're getting closer and closer to this deadline, and finally, she accidentally,
Hit okay on $20.
would you just take it like it is with a $20 discount? Yeah, and she didn't mean to do that.
I was getting ready to tell him to go to
I'm going to send it back. Is what she was going to do. So anyway, I managed to come up with another chair that we didn't care about that had the piece that would work on it. And I put it together for her. And come to find out, that's not what she wanted anyway.
Oh no, it hurt my back bad.
Right. So so she ordered another one,
And I like this one.
and she puts her Tweety blanket on it. So I guess she don't stick to it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And it doesn't get dirty. I can wash my blanket.
right. So we get along well, mostly because the romance is still there, and we both understand what it is now. We both understand what it is to go through menopause. So if you have understanding, you don't say the rude things that actually require a response. Like, why are you acting so? And
I took a lot of baths.
yeah.
I take a lot of baths when I'm having
So
my.
an anniversary present for her was an on-demand water heater.
That was an awesome present. Awesome.
And a big old tub,
And
corner
a
whirlpool tub,
huge doggy door.
and she never uses the whirlpool part.
No, I don't like them.
So I've found that it's easy for me to understand her as my girlfriend, my friend, and someday she'll get tired of me, and I thank her all the time.
Not happening.
Uh, and even if you change your mind, you don't want any more. Um, so we still like each other, I'm saying it's magical. So
I
I
think we're like 13 and a half years in
yeah,
total.
yeah.
13 years married and
It's so this is coming to you via her hard work, mixing with my stubbornness and willingness to push as far as it will go without being a lawbreaker. But we were talking before we took a break because Christmas fell out on Wednesday, and then New Year's Eve fell out on Wednesday. So 2 weeks in a row we skipped. But what we were talking about was tools to start, and most of them were inexpensive tools.
And
Uh,
then today we're going to do advanced
so
tools.
now these would be the further into the, if you're doing this business, what kind of tools, or if you're trying to do this kind of business on your property. Like if you bought your own property and you want to fix your own stuff, these are the things that you would be involved with. Uh, so I will tell you this: a better skill saw is one of those ones. When I say better, that doesn't necessarily mean um, a skill saw or a circular saw with a laser. They're neat and everything, but you don't really. That's not what I'm talking about. That kind of advancement, I think, is $10 difference at Home Depot on Ryobi saws. Um, what I'm talking about is heavier duty, and that would be on the platform that it sits on, the strength of the motor. No, I'm not saying you need a worm drive, which is much heavier, and I have one. If you're going to do a lot of decks and a lot of framing and cutting through large parts of, say, thick wood a lot, it might behoove you to have a worm saw. But those are gear driven saws that are particularly heavy, and they have plenty of power. That is not really what I'm talking about. I was thinking about it back in the day. Uh, I didn't really have a really nice table saw when I first started. And a matter of fact, there was a couple times where I didn't need a table saw, but just for a little bit, I'm like, man, I can't afford to pay, $250 to $500, whatever, for a real nice table saw, and I'm only going to use it for like 5 minutes of actual work. So, I remember I took a skill saw and ran lines on it, uh, literally drilled holes so that I could put screws to it and use the skill saw as a table saw. But, a table saw would be your next level. Uh, I personally have had, I've got one table saw. It's particularly heavy. Right. She's happy. She's describing to me with gestures how nice her chair is.
That's the first time I've done that. I didn't realize I could actually do that comfortably.
Yeah, she's got her feet folded up underneath her in the chair. This chair is a good example of what she wanted. It has pads on the sides and all that. But anyway, right, she can put her feet up and get all comfortable for the long editing and
sometimes I spend 6, 7 hours in my chair.
Right. So
maybe more.
And we're actually working on her being comfortable at the couch. So maybe they ought to make a couch office chair. You can stretch out sideways. Anyway, she's expressing to me on the side here that she's happy. But a good table saw is something that is, you'll have to find out what you're doing. So you can get a lighter weight table saw with decent power, still plastic or lightweight metal, and you can put it on a good platform with wheels that expands down, and you can roll it up, squeeze it back together, and go up and down staircases with it. Those are really nice. I don't even have one. I just never saw fit to do that much work with a table saw. Uh, I do have a table saw that I've kept for probably 20 years now, and I never use it. Now, let me explain. That stupid thing broke my foot, and I had separated it so I could carry it because it was awkward to carry. It was so heavy. Um, so I separated this stand from it. So it's got the big chrome pipes on it to slide the fence on. It's decent, really decent, really good quality saw. Metal, heavy, heavy, it's just a heavy saw. Well, it slid off the base when I wasn't ready for it, and the pipe slid around and bounced off of my foot. I mean, it hit my top of my foot and bounced off of it. So I've kept that saw, even though I don't like to use it because it's so heavy. And if I had a shop where I could use it uh, sitting out, I would never take it out to the job site because it's just really heavy. If I did it, it would be where I knew I'd be in the garage and I'm moving it, or somewhere that I could afford to not have to move it a lot because it's just monster heavy. So yeah, there's a good table saw that is not too heavy, but still has plenty of power. That's and probably on a stand. You're going to find that useful. If you're squeezing it into a van or something, or in the back of a truck, that can be, a lot of work, but it's still very handy on the site that you're using it. So a decent table saw is not a bad idea. And another one is a good trim chop saw, like a sliding compound miter saw. Honestly, I've had some really nice ones. I remember one of them I had one day and it got broke. Let me explain the story. It was a sliding compound Ryobi, just fantastic. Even had the laser, which didn't matter to me. I used it on one job, one day. I did all the trim on the job in one day. They put it underneath the lid of a pickup truck, and then they loaded all kinds of trash for the job on top of it, and then strapped it down hard and literally broke the saw brand new, one day old. Uh,
We've had other things happen like that.
yeah. But a good sliding compound miter saw allows you to, with a decent sized blade, allows you to cut like a 4x4 or even a 6x6, and then all the way down to thin pieces of shoe mold or crown mold, which is like 3/4 of an inch wide. It's really nice, and again, you can put those on a stand and have extensions that come up with rollers. Those are really nice if you're on a job for any length of time. The chop saw, the miter saw, is really great. I will tell you another one that I really liked. It was inexpensive from Lowe's. I can't remember the brand. Really lightweight. I mean, tiny little thing. And I could use it for a lot of like one room of trim, and I didn't have to carry this big old saw that I have. I have one that is still in the box. It was in the box when I got it, and it had been in the box for years. The guy never used it, and I'm doing the same thing. But all my saws anyway. This lightweight saw, and it's about that big, and it's really, doesn't take much power. And I'm seeing them that same kind of weight that are battery powered, and I think that is really cool. A battery powered saw would be really, really good. A not only about sliding compound, but just a little compound miter saw, battery powered. You don't have to stretch out the cord. And it's so very, very cool. I don't have one, um, but I think those are things that you should think about. It's really, you're not going to put with that little tiny saw like that big. You're not going to go and buy a stand for it as a rule. That's a bit much. But those are things that I suggest that you could use. And I know that I've already mentioned a couple of things that I haven't bought for myself, but I have a lot of different directions to go with the money that I make. So that is one that I kind of like. I'm not gonna just. I don't even have enough room for all the tools I have. Um, like one of the obscure tools I have that I do use on occasion, but it's like once a year maybe, is I have an electric jackhammer. It's I would not recommend it, unless you think you're going to do a lot of commercial work where you're going to bust up concrete. Maybe, occasionally, you might use it in a residential situation. Um, this guy came in. He was like, "Hey, I was going to have you come in and work, but the plumbers have got the bathroom all tore up." I was like, "That's kind of odd." Okay. He said, "Would you come over and look at it anyway?" I was like, "Okay." And I get to the bathroom. There's a hole in the middle of the bathroom in the concrete. The plumbers found a leak underneath the slab.
Oh, that sucks.
Isn't that great? Yeah.
Oh.
Uh, so they jackhammered, and it was odd, and it was unusual because there was a guy there who was actually my ex-wife's second husband. Yeah, I was like, "Hey, man, I know you." Yeah, and I'm not gonna,
Hey, man.
yeah, I'm not gonna
I'm
say
sorry.
the
That's pretty
embarrassing things
funny.
about him, but he was there making this big old jackhammer hole in the master bedroom's bathroom. I'm like, "Hey, how you been?" And then we compare notes from both being married to the same woman. And it was very brief for me because I did not want to stay in that neighborhood very long. Uh, so anyway, yeah, I mean, occasionally you might use a jackhammer. You got to decide if you're in that kind of field, but that's not one I would recommend. But I have a lot of these really odd tools. I have a MIG welder that requires, I think, about 25 capacitors, and it's quite expensive to fix. And I think, one day I might do a bunch of welding, but I've never have. And I've had that thing for like 25 years. It's worth a fortune now. But I don't know what the capacitors cost. That's not something I recommend you do. If you want to, you could go to an upgraded pressure washer. I think you would find that you can make decent money on pressure washing.
Timu has them for cheap.
Yeah, she's all into Timu now. But I would caution you about pressure washing. As much as it does a great job cleaning, it will knock paint off of things and break things like you would not believe. Especially the better higher end pressure washer, like I'm talking about. If you're not discerning, you could be actually creating a massive amount of work for yourself because you're just cleaning off the mildew on one side of the house, and all of a sudden you're replacing the paint on the window trim and the paint on the block below. There wasn't a problem before. You can't just pressure wash my place and not fix that. It didn't look bad before. Now it does. So anyway, I haven't went through that. I just know of people that did go through it. But pressure washing, somebody was asking me, could you take a look at my roof and see why there's so many roof or don't have any of the gravel on it or not much gravel. So I went over there and it was on the side that gets a lot of shade all the time. I was like, huh. So I went back down. I was like, did you have somebody pressure wash your roof? Yeah, it's about 4 years ago. Well, they knocked all the gravel off of your shingles. And they did a great job, I'm sure, about knocking all the mold maybe that was there, but they knocked off all the. So you have to watch out I've seen guys who pressure washed their vehicle because it got real dirty and knocked the paint off the vehicle. So be aware that is, yeah, that would, now you're out a bunch of money if you don't know fix it yourself. And again, that wasn't me. Uh,
Learn from other people's
yeah, I
mistakes.
try to learn. An upgraded pressure washer is pretty good. I think you'll find that you can make money with that. Just be aware that the further upgraded you go, the more pressure usually, and it can be a liability. And the next tool I'm going to talk to you about is a liability also if you're not aware, and that is an airless paint gun. First of all, there is a lot of maintenance. Every time you use it, you have to clean it.
And you have to thin the paint.
Well, on the electric ones that she's been using, you have to keep the paint thinned down. That's not necessarily true with a bigger airless. So you're starting at $400 or $500
Oh, okay. Yeah, no,
for
I'm
a.
too cheap for that.
But here's the problem: there's a lot of maintenance. It can't just sit there. Sometimes the O rings will go bad just sitting there for a long time. Um, but here's the one I'm going to tell you about, and this is one I've seen over and over and over again. Somebody gets a really good discount on a major discount. Wow, how'd you get such a good deal? Oh, well, it had a whole bunch of overspray from it. It was just down the road from where they were painting the house. So that wind carried that mist of paint and settled all over the neighborhood's cars.
Mm-hmm.
So you see what I'm talking about? And I can't tell you how many times I've went into housing subdivisions that are older and they hired somebody to paint a house and you can see where the overspray got on the shingles. They didn't even notice it because they were, rolling. And the owners didn't notice. I'm not going to call attention to it. Sort of like Austin Powers. There's a mole. I notice it, but I don't tell them. So these are really good, and you can make money all by the pressure washing and the painting. They're a business all in their own, but they have particularly painting, very high liabilities. So that's where your insurance better be good. Um, so understand added maintenance with airless painters and added liability possible with that. That's very, very important that you understand that. Personally, I own one, but it's a small one, and I never use it because I just don't like the liability. If you want somebody to do that, then there's plenty of other people that will do it. I have plenty of work usually. Now I'm a little bit slow, but
We're
little,
always slow this time of year.
yeah. Uh,
Always.
so that is one of those things that I would suggest that you consider when you get a little extra money. This is when you spend that money. Don't just put it into your vacation for a month in some beach somewhere.
Buy tools. Expand your ability and do more jobs.
Give yourself more possibilities,
The more types of work you can do,
and the better you do them.
the easier you can stay busy.
Right. So those are tools that, for sure,
You're still adding tools.
I never quit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Particularly with tools that I've not seen before. But I'm going to talk to you about another one, and that is the use of routers. Um, I have some really nice routers. I've just not been using them much. I use routers when I do Formica, but again, I don't do a lot of Formica. I do a little here and there. If I don't, as a rule, I don't advertise. Hey, I'm a Formica guy.
I hate Formica.
A lot of chemicals that you breathe that raise your blood pressure and permanently do brain damage. Okay, when you get high, you're burning brain cells. And so I've known guys that's all they did was they made a lot of money doing Formica, and they all had high blood pressure and respiratory problems later in life, kidney failures, all that stuff. Uh, I'm not guaranteeing you that it's going to happen to everybody, but it definitely does. So, but a good router is part of that. Uh, and you can do it with a cheap router, but believe me, a good router, even like a plunge router or something that allows you to drop into the middle and you can just adjust it down. A stronger router than a cheapy one puts you in a whole nother level. But it all depends on what you're doing. Um, you're not going to use a router as much in commercial work. You're just not. If you're doing maintenance on apartments, maybe not very often, but a maybe. But that is something that I would recommend that you consider is a good, very good router, and maybe the router bits, a set of them. Um, it would be something to consider. Uh, One of the things that I have on my truck that not everybody has is like a whole bunch of mechanic tools. Right now, Lowe's has a pretty good set that's all in a toolbox and everything's lined up and really really pretty Craftsman, like $100, super cheap. It's probably as cheap as it was when I was a kid, so it's really cheap. So a good mechanics set that allows you to take things apart where you couldn't before. So an upgraded like a real nice mechanic set, not the kind of where you go out and with a snap-on box. I'm not talking about that, where you got to upper and lower and rolling thousands of dollars. That's not necessary. But
Facebook Marketplace.
yeah, but just a decent set of even it doesn't have to be name brand, but something that you can use if your vehicle breaks down or if you're having to fix things like bolts in a commercial door. Man, I'm telling you, I can't tell you how many times I found wrench was the thing I needed. Uh, some really nice pipe wrenches would be very good uh, because just you end up using them, particularly when you do gas lines um, and other things. A good tubing cutting set. When I say a good one, you get that. I have a Linux one that has half-inch, three-quarter, and 1 inch all set up. All you do is slip it on and turn it. You don't have to adjust the knob. That would be nice because that allows you now to attach a shark bite or a gator bite, whatever you want to call it, brand you want to use, to that, and then attach to your copper pipe, and then attach a PEX to that. It's really really nice, and it's just very quick, and it's well worth the money to spend. I definitely recommend it. As it becomes more and more present that you find an older house. Well, and even the new houses have a lot of copper in them. But I recommend PEX to just about everybody. Uh,
We changed almost all of the trailer park.
yeah, because
And every time we have a leak, we change it.
yeah, it's almost 90%, maybe it's more than 80. Most of it's in done with PEX. Uh, a really good Amprobe electrical tester that will probably you'll find that as your knowledge on using it grows, it'll expand your ability to like an Amprobe will you wrap it around a cord or a leg of some electrical and you can see how much it's drawing, so you can determine if it's a compressor going bad on refrigerator or air conditioner and things like that. You figure out why the breaker is tripping. Is it drawing more load than it's supposed to? That kind of thing. That's what your amp probe is for. You can measure the amperage that it's pulling. Amp probe. Um, those are you're just getting a good set of electrical tools, a higher quality set. You'll find that your confidence, and you need it when you're doing electrical work, is you're going to be up. Uh, and duplications are okay. It doesn't matter that you already have a fairly inexpensive Lyman pliers. Now you've got a higher end Lyman pliers. Electrical needs a lot of confidence. You need to feel good about it. You need to have thick coating so that if you drop the handle and it cuts through the insulation, then you get into something live, it shocks you through the handle. it's time to upgrade a little bit. And you can dip that handle with some liquid tape and not shock yourself so much. And again, with all the screwdrivers, and it's not a bad idea to upgrade your electrical work so that you feel confident with a higher quality work that you're going to be doing with the higher quality tools. That's definitely something that I would recommend. Uh, and so all your electrical tools, you can spend some money there, a lot of money. Electricians certainly do a lot of muscle flexing by all their high end tools that they have. Like somewhere around here, I have a recording amp probe. I've never had an occasion to use it, but I do have one. Uh, a good hole saw set, quite expensive, uh, but you end up using them. Something with uh, a bit that you can change from one to the other. Good, strong. Uh, I don't care what the brand is as long as you make it strong and not wimpy. Then you can tell. Um, and if when you do, you're going to buy extra arbor bits, which is the bit in the center. Just consider that as something that you really need to get when you got a little bit extra money, is a good hole saw set. Maybe even a good paddle bit set. But the paddle bits invariably hit a nail somewhere. I'm telling you, man, that's such a frustrating thing. Buy a brand new set and hit a nail and then mess up. So you're buying paddle bits all the time. And one of the things that I've used a lot through the years is the drill bits that you can drill through, flexible drill bit. The bit can be a number of different sizes, but its length is where it is really unusual. It's like 3 foot long and flexible, so you can drill through the bottom of a electrical box in the wall and go through the floor, and it has a hole in it that you can tie a wire to, or a string to your other wires, and pull the wires that you have underneath there and pull it up from the next floor or whatever. But it allows you to get through, and it has a holder to hold it so you can drill and keep it bent and go through the bottom of that box through the floor and then pull it back out. So it has that hole that lets you pull it back, bring that wire back up. That has been a lifesaver over and over again. Another one would be a fish tape, and I like the little 2 foot, 3 foot long flat fiberglass ones that one screws into the other. A good one of those is good. Um, Even electrical fish tape, which comes in a reel. You don't need a real long one unless you're doing commercial piping, and that's quite a bit more specific than what we're talking about. Uh, but a fish tape can set you back a little bit, close to $80, $90 for fair quality. But the problem I have is I have a number of them, and the reason I do is because I'm probably hour away from home, hour and a half, and for me to drive all the way back to get one, once I realize I need one because I have one at home, it saves labor for the customer if I just buy another one.
The only exception is if your wife can find it and will want to go have lunch.
Yeah,
I've done that.
yeah. We have, hey, could you bring this to me? I have to describe what it is, what it does, all that kind of stuff.
And where exactly on this 5 acres to find it.
Yeah, where is it? Yeah. So, a fish tape is a really good one. Now, I want to get back to the hole saws. To drive a hole saw, quite often you need a good drill. And I have a number of really good drills. I'm talking about strong drills. I have a number of inexpensive drills, so that I don't mind if I burn them up doing something weird. But a big drill, the one where you got to hang on to the bucket when you spin the drywall mud, a good drill, maybe even a good rotor hammer drill, rotor hammer. So that way you can use rotor hammer bits. And again, you can spend some really good money to get hammer drill set, and it will be worthwhile if you can keep up with it. Uh, it's it's definitely something that you'll end up using. So like a hammer drill bit set, but you'll need a good hammer drill to. So I would recommend a bigger hammer drill as an upgrade, um, or you can have just a regular uh, drill that is just capable of spinning big and not burn up. So a lot of guys to mix the mud or the mortar or something like that, they will use my battery powered Ryobis, and it just fries them. They're not made to handle that kind of force. So that's a good one to consider. If you think you're going to do a lot of framing, there's two things that go with that. That is the nail gun. I used to be a big believer in finished nailers and all that stuff all being air. And I have the problem with those is they require maintenance. Everything does, but they require maintenance or they will get stuck and you'll have to take them apart and put them back together. You know, lots of problems that come with it. But there's nothing you buy that doesn't. I'm using more battery powered now. For quite a while, I used a gas charged, battery charged Cinco brand. That was pretty high quality, but I use it until it just blew up. Uh, so air nailers are really cool if you're going to do a lot of framing. Get a framing nailer. If you're going to do a lot of shingle roofs, I don't want to do that. But the coil nailer, and then all your different finish nailers, brad nailers, and things like that, really nice. And then the hoses that go to that. And guess what's into the hose? A really nice compressor. And I say nice, something that can recover very quickly. You'll find that you'll use that thing for everything. Get one with wheels, that way you can drag it around to one home or another. Um, it's just going to be one of those tools that you're oh, I'm so glad I got this. Um, One of those other things that you end up doing is a decent texture sprayer. Uh, they sell them at Lowe's, Home Depot, and things like that. And they're getting them where they're harder to find. But it's like $100, something like that, for a decent one. Not a little bitty one like the sell at Harbor Freight, but a decent sized one. And you'll know the difference when you get on a job site where you're spraying texture. That's a really nice upgrade that I would recommend. Um, you know, a really nice ceramic tile saw is also major importance. I have uh, probably four different styles, and they all work particularly better. You can use all of them for one, what for all different styles, but each one of them is a little bit different. One of them has a blade on top, the other one has a blade on the bottom. One of them pulls uh, towards you on a rail. The other one, you slide the material toward the blade that's over it. I mean, but I went through a lot of ceramic tile saws that were just the little bitty table ones, and they did fine for quite a while. And you're gonna have to replace the blades pretty regular. Uh, Another one to have, and it really is worth the expense, is a drill bit sharpener. It really doesn't cost that much. It's something that you can take your drill bits, and when they get dulled, and they will get dulled, you can put it in there and sharpen those bits. And it's been I went through a bunch of them, and then a bench grinder so that you can sharpen up things that need to be sharpened and grind down things that need to be grinded down. That's a really good choice to do to have. You wouldn't want to take that to the job site, but you'll have that at your own home to sharpen up your chisels and things like that. You'll use it over and over and over again. Same with a vise. and probably put your vise on a stand, which you can, we're working on putting one in the, because my utility bed truck has some little 2x2 tubings or inch and a half by inch and a half tubing holes that you can put something in. And I need a vise, but a vise is one of those things. A big one is really nice. It lets you hold things together. It's really nice. Um, a decent sized laser, one that you can use to get something level all the way around the room, set a laser line on it, and then it really speeds things up. Do I have to have it? No, because I've used a lot of water levels, but they're pretty cool. I mean, it really is nice. Uh, it's been those are one of those things that it takes a while to get used to it. That you can use it for a number of different things and scenarios. Like, oh, you can put up this wall. You can set it an inch away from the wall and just measure an inch over and get it right on. And providing you do the right job getting it level, um, that's really nice upgrade. Um, I have more than one rolling counter, which would be to measure the length of a room or to measure the length of a field. I have one that will roll out, clicks about every 2 feet. Click. It counts the feet though. And then I was given one just today for indoors, a small wheel on the floor that you can measure a room with. But of course, they now have lasers that do something similar to that. I don't know how much I would trust them. I like something mechanical. Um, but those are not a bad idea either. That's not something that I guarantee you need to have. But we're talking about things that would be an upgrade to making your life a lot more pleasant. A good shop vac, you're going to end up using it. Uh, I would recommend that for sure. Uh, you clean up messes pretty quick. And I've had to suck up water, where there was a leak and we'd have to pull it up, and it's pretty amazing. Uh, all the different things you can do with a good shop vac. It's something I definitely recommend as an upgrade. Um, let's see. I don't want to get too advanced on some of the things that I carry on my truck, but it's a pretty good cover. I'm sure I'll come up with more things, but those are things that would upgrade. Drill presses way out there. Where you're going to do the same thing over and over. I don't think you need that. 20-ton jacks, a 12-ton jack, good to have around. Except if you want to jack something around and get it higher, that kind of thing. You might use that, but I don't know that I would say everybody needs one. Uh, but I definitely use them. So anyway, that's where I would leave you. And there's a lot more things that you could do. Um, and I recommend you do things that give you more confidence with what you do. I got picked up one of my chainsaws, and that's again, I have a lot of chainsaws, and over the years I've used them a lot. Uh, because sometimes I have to cut the tree that did the damage, and sometimes we have a tornado come through.
Frequent.
Well, and then I have the
High
ability.
winds, high winds,
Mhm.
broken tree limbs. That's
So I
common.
literally looked at another big saw that I don't need today with a guy that does my small engine, and it's beautiful saw. It's a still 400 SC or CS, uh, big saw. But mine's the one I have is a still 051, which is an older saw. Big saw, very well balanced. Compared to the new one, it's much more, it's heavier and bigger, and more powerful. Uh, and I think mine's probably, Jerry was saying mine is worth like $1,200, like it is. Uh, so I use a lot of different chainsaws, and I was looking at one today that was discounted. He was willing to sell it to me for 700, and I've got a Husqvarna 262. I've got I've got a John's Red. I've got Echo. I've got a Solo. Uh, I've got a Cobalt, a battery powered one. I've got a bunch of saws. I got a Home Light, Craftsman. I've got a bunch of saws, a bunch of saws. I mean, a bunch. And so chainsaws are a part of my life, and I don't use them all the time, just on occasion. And when I do, they really have paid off. And I generally spend more money on them because anytime something that I use more than once, I start spending money on that to upgrade it. So I might buy another saw, uh, a lightweight one, so I can reach up. I like the battery power one because I know that's going to crank up no matter what the weather. It's going to crank up. If the battery's charged up, it's going to crank up. Um, but that's not something that I recommend that you have to have. That would be a immediate upgrade. I don't think that's the case. Um, that's pretty much it. I think those are the things that I could say right away that would be a good upgrade for anybody that's doing repair work or maintenance work. You'll find that those are things that are very, very good and complementary with your growing skill level. And you'll figure out, what your level of work is going to allow you to be. If you start doing fancier and fancier work, you're going to get into some really high end table saws and jigsaws. Um, you know, uh, I remember one time I had a Frood jigsaw. I think I paid like $125 for it. And that was years and years ago, like 20 years ago. And I could adjust the speed of it. I could adjust the aggressiveness of the blade from underneath or, over the top, how it cut. And really easy to adjust the angle. And I come up missing. I thought somebody stole it. And I found it in a 5-gallon bucket of water. They didn't put it in the bucket of water. It just rained enough that it filled the bucket up. So I had a solid rusted block of a fancy tool. But at the time, I was doing a lot of high end work in high end houses, and not so much anymore. Uh, I do on occasion, and I've got some decent uh, jigsaws, and I like the Ryobi one. I really do, and it really works out. All right, I will talk to you in a week, and we'll come up with a subject to talk about. I'm hoping that people have questions. That's what this time is for. It's designed for you to have questions about whatever subject that you need to ask somebody that's got a lot of experience working on a wide range of things. So hopefully, I'll hear from somebody who asks a question when I'm on here regularly, and ask those questions. I'm all about it. Until that time, I wish everybody all the best, and we'll be doing the same thing tomorrow on TikTok.
Same time, same place.
Same
Well,
bat time, same bat channel. All right. See you guys later.